against the British, and it is remembered in many historical work as one of the most important periods of Naga history. Now, fast forward to 1944, from 4th of March, I believe, when the Japanese first came. If you look at it, for the colonialists who had plundered and murdered their way to the Naga hills, if you look at the Naga participation, that is the only moment, or that is the only aspect of the Second World War I feel proud of, because we as a people were instrumental in ensuring that the Japanese were. The British has said so so many times. I think I forgot his name. Prince Andrew came, I think. Huh? Andrew. He came and he said the same thing. He said he cannot forget the contribution made by the Nagas in the Battle of Kohima, which has secured the victory for the Allied forces. But today, if you look at the Second World War itself, the Battle of Kohima itself, and the Battle of Imphal itself, you would see that the INA, the Indian National Army, was in lines with the Imperial Japanese Army. It was the most brutal 2.5 months war at this place called Kohima, tiny patch of land. But then the Japanese 31st Division had come from Homalin in Myanmar, the Sagaing Division. So on their way, they had really terrorized our villages from Hague till here. They used our people as porters. The British that way were very lenient. They were giving even, they were paying our people who were in the labor corps. So the critical difference was number one of supply, number one of the, number two of the way the British and the Allied forces treated our Naga people. In that war, you will see there are tons and tons of books on the Battle of Kohima, both written by some Japanese scholars, which are very few and far between, and British and American soldiers, which are a lot, starting from the Chindit expedition, where they used fighter planes to defeat the Japanese army. Now, I recall this with interest, because even my grandfather was enlisted as a labor corps, and he went to Burma, because the entire Burma campaign required a lot of people to fill the labor corps. So if we recall all this, then the enormous amount of sacrifice that Naga people have made during the Second World War, and which has changed the course of history for the British Empire especially, because the Americans were more interested in securing China. But for the British, if they had lost this war, they would have lost their hold over India, the Indian subcontinent, and the empire would have just broken then and there. So they now call it, the most important battle in the history of the British Empire. It is so, and they realize it and recognize it now only, but it is just a mere recognition. It's a mere recognition. There is some effort by some of the veterans or descendants of the veterans to engage with the Nagas through various programs and events, which you all know. Government of Nagaland is also collaborating with them. They have the Kohima Educational Society, I think, and also the Gordon Graham, Literary and Arts Award, which is supported by the British. And to this day, as we commemorate the Battle of Kohima, we have not been able to review our role, its place in the Naga history. We have not been able to talk about our own Nagas who participated in the war, not just as trench diggers, not just as porters, not just as spies, not just as agency which supplied all their foods. But we were critical because of all those roles that we played. Nagas were not trained or prepared to play that role. But because of our past, because of our history, because of our culture and tradition, we easily blended into that role and took up that role with equal seriousness, which was critical in tilting the entire battle in favor of the Allied forces. So this history I just want to recall. It's not something you don't know. I know you're enthusiasts, you will know more than me. But besides the armory, besides the weaponry, besides the vehicles and the tanks and all that left behind, I want to put this movement, because it's a commemorative movement, into the larger perspective of our history. We cannot forget the sacrifices. I was wondering, and I will leave you with that, in the 19th century, the battle was against us. The fallen and the dead, and there were hundreds and thousands of Nagas who died at the hands of the British. At that time, there was no history written, there's no record. But even if you look at the Oking Hospital today, where it stands, there was, a stone installed by Gambhir Singh. So wherever he went and conquered, he puts that stone. So there, he put that stone above a young boy who was buried alive. So this is his sign of domination. So a lot of violence had been inflicted on the Nagas by the superior arms. We know that time they had even defeated Napoleon and they had come here. But I am very proud of that historical fact that it took them so many years to even establish Kohima as a capital of the British British Empire at that time in 19th century. That small patch of land, now there is the war cemetery. The war cemetery is the only, Kohima war cemetery is the only cemetery which was built on the actual battlefield. So we know that that patch of land was the reason why a lot of people died, including Nagas, including Japanese. Now, if you review all this from that historical perspective today, we learned that a lot of people have died. It will remain with us. We salute their memory. But the Second World War and the Battle of Kohima is not complete if we don't tell the story of our heroes who participated in the war, who got various crosses. But much beyond that, we deserve a very special place in the history of the Battle of Kohima because of our important, critical participation in the Battle of Hornbill. With this, I want to thank you and wish you all the best in your rallies. And thank you for inviting us. Thank you for having this NAMSA and continuing this spirit year in and year out. It is a sign of how our people will never forget that important battle. Many people have written about it. Many people are still writing about it. Even my book on this particular period, which I have just mentioned, will be out next year. And I hope that I'll invite you on the day of the launch of the book. Thank you once again for inviting me.